Hey folks, welcome back to our D&D minifig unboxing part 2, where we cut out some of the extraneous fluff and get right to the details of looking at each of the minifigures that we have left. We looked at 4 in the first part, and now we've got the remaining 8, plus we've got that bonus one that I promised in the first video. Also, if you haven't seen the first video, there is information on an application that helps you scan the blind boxes and find out what's inside the box before you actually purchase it. That's how I was able to easily get a complete set of 12 minifigures with no duplicates, except for the ones I actually wanted. So what we're looking at here is the Githyanki Warlock. First, I want to point out that there is a lot of great detail on this figure. We've got a medallion, maybe somehow related to the pact that the Warlock is involved with. Great detail on the figure, on the clothing. Looks like we've got 2 little bits of rune stones there on the one leg, as well as a little pouch, maybe components on the other leg. We've got the dual molded leg. On the back, we've got even more printing with maybe 2 different potions and a key. Coming back here, we do have a new type of dagger piece, which is exclusive to this figure, and I look forward to seeing this in a lot more figures. Figure's got a great facial expression, happy on this side, angry on the other side, and of course we have the other male version of the figure with the same angry and not so angry. The other thing I want to point out here is the pauldrons on here are actually an existing piece, probably in this color. I know it's also available in silver, black, and maybe a few other different colors. This one definitely blends in well with the figure that we have here. We've got nice pointy ears that stick out, and this makes it easy to pop this onto another type of figure. Most of the figures in the Lego catalog are based on yellow just because of the colors that they had at the time. It wasn't until recently that they started doing much more different skin tones. So it's easy enough to find plenty of old faces and then just use these yellow ears to create whatever new type of character you want. The one other thing that we have here is the staff. The key point of the staff is this eye. This beautiful big new piece, although Lego has done other pieces with a different eye pattern if you wanted to chase those down. Again, I'll be doing a video on secondhand Lego sites to get these other types of pieces. You can easily make custom versions of this type of staff. This rounds out our Githyanki Warlock. Our next figure on the list is the Tiefling Arcane Caster. This is one of my favorite figures for the accessories. So let's take some of these accessories off for a moment. Let's look at the figure. We've got great printing on the figure. Lego did not cheap out on any of the figures in this collection. Here I felt like all of the Lego figures have great accessories. And again, we've got dual faces. We've got our angry face and our more happy face. Same thing for the male version. Nice little happy smile smirk, and then a more scouring face when it's time to get serious. Great printing. The fact that we're using these light purple gloves on her hands makes this torso easily changeable for any other figure. Great printing on the legs. Dual legs as well. I think this is an existing piece, maybe a new color. And of course, we've got great horns coming off of the hair piece. Lego has done other figures with horns. They have a fawn in one of the collectible minifigure collections that has horns coming out of its headpiece. So that could be another way to, easily make your own custom tiefling. This is a great figure. I really like it. Again, I like it more for the accessories. And let's look at those 2 right now. First, we have the red dragon. This is a great little figure. This works great as a familiar. I would love to get another half dozen of these, quite honestly. You can see that they've actually gone to the effort to make the eyes pop with some custom printing. There are some dragons from previous collections. Green one, maybe a gold. Those I don't think have eye printing. Also, their wings are, I think, folded back. Last here, we've got this great translucent spell here. This little part here makes it fit right into the hand of the caster, right there. And my understanding is that this is supposed to represent magic missile. At its lowest level, it shoots out 3 missiles simultaneously. Action pose of the caster casting this particular spell. Now, there are plenty of other translucent that could also do the purpose of spells. Interestingly enough, there's a recolored version of some of the spider webs from Spider-Man that could either be just regular web spells or could be other bits of arcane energy blasting out from the hands. I love this figure. Definitely want more. Mostly for the, again, the spell and the dragon component that we have here. Figure's very, very nice, but I don't have a lot of tieflings in my games. So that's it for those two. The next figure I want to look at is the Aarakocra Ranger, and this is a figure with a lot of detail. So let's take this bow off. We'll come back to that. Let's take this little sidekick animal off. We'll come back to him in a little bit. And first, let's look at the Aarakocra Ranger. We've got great printing on the torso. In fact, if I take the wings off, we can see that we've got printing on the back. Makes this torso very, very usable across other types of minifigures that we might want to create. The gray looks like a great pair of, woodland gloves or whatever, making it even more usable across any type of skin types or, racial types that we have. We've got the legs here. You'll see here that the legs are actually not a normal minifig leg, but the bird legs. This is a great bit of detail for the Aarakocra. Now, these legs existed previously. Again, going back to that fawn minifigure that I mentioned before. They call it a fawn. We call it a satyr in D&D. That figure was the first to have these kind of legs. The wings are new and the headpiece is new, and that's for sure. I think the bow is new. We'll get back to that in a moment. And I am very sure that the dog is new. Now, one thing I want to say here is that this is a very unique figure, but Lego had a line of figures called Chima, and it was a lot of anthropomorphic animals. One of the factions in Chima, a race of bird creatures that had different types of wings, but the same concept of a wingspan, slightly different types of heads, but you could easily add them into this to create variations of Aarakocra warriors or casters, however you want to do it, with the mix and match ability of Lego torsos and legs. None of the Chima legs on the bird faction have this kind of detailed leg here. They use just regular minifig legs for their figures. But other than that, you can easily create a whole bunch of different variety of Aarakocra by leveraging that Chima line. Again, the bow here is wonderful. Lego has done a number of bows in the past. I think they've got a short bow and they've got a very long bow, I think. They've got some now that actually can shoot studs for more playability. I don't really like those. I think it breaks the verisimilitude of what I'm looking for, especially if I'm going to use this for D&D. But this is great. It's got a lot of detail in the bow itself, the handle grip, as you can see here, and of course the arrow and the fletching on the bow or on the arrow in the back. And that easily can snap into place on the hand, and it looks like it's teeing up to fire on target. Now we've got a sidekick, which is listed as a dog. This is a small animal. Lego's done a number of dogs, and this is on the smaller side, but not too small. This could also be a wolf cub. Again, this is another one I would like to get 3 or 4 more, especially if I want to use them as wolf cubs. They do have wolves that are much larger, and then they've got full-on wargs from some other lines, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Also take a moment to notice the printing, the eyes, the nose. That is great level of detail. I think some of the original dogs didn't have, but as they've been doing more spot printing. We love the dog. We love everything about the Aarakocra, even if I can't pronounce the name correctly, and easily want a couple more of these in my collection. Next up is one of those named villains that I mentioned at the beginning of the first video. This, of course, is the leader of the Red Wizards of Thay, Zastam. We have a great level of detail on this figure. Exposed chest, so he is clearly one of the undead. I love the bottom of his robe. This robe piece is actually flowing and extends in the back. We've got printing on the back of the robe, also a little printing on the back of his torso. Get this cape. This cape is actually 2 pieces. The piece that flows down and then a second piece that flows up, which is great because if you want to customize this, you can easily take the top part out if he's not, popping his collar that day. He's got that evil expression. He only has one face. But he does have some details, since the Red Wizards of Thay are known for their tattoos. He does have some printing on the back, just not a second face. The piece here in his hand actually first started out, I believe, with Spider-Man, colored white. They've done variations for Iron Man, Captain Marvel. This piece also will shoot. If I were to press on this with great force, it'll actually cause it to shoot forward and immediately get lost. Again, this is another one of those spell effects that we could easily use with our arcane caster or any other type of custom creature that we want to create. We also have a red skull. The red skull is translucent red. This is a unique coloration for a very classic piece. This is exactly what all other Lego skulls look like, with the big eyes and the big happy smile. I'm not sure what I would use this for. The last thing I want to mention is that the reason why I would like to actually get more of these is because most of this can easily be reused to create a Red Wizard of Krynn. I've got the robes. I would have to obviously swap out the torso, but there are plenty of options from the Ninjago line and many other lines that I could get a nice red torso with some printing on it, or even just something plain. I can use the cape, I can get rid of the collar at the top, and then just put in head and hair for whatever wizard I wanted to create. Another reason why I would like to have a couple more of these is for how I can repurpose it for Dragonlance. So the next figure I'm going to talk about here is the Halfling Druid. I love this figure for multiple reasons. It has a lot of reusability, a lot of character from the headpiece, which is a new version of a cowl. They have cowls, but they don't have cowls that have the horn piece sticking out of it, so that's a new mold. They have the short cape. What's interesting about the cape is that you can see it's brown on that side, but green on this side. Lego has done it in the past, but very rarely do they do two different colors on one cloth. We've got a lot of printing on the torso, which makes it very easy to reuse this for any other figure. Nice bone structure here, pouches. You know, this could easily be a kind of wild creature. With the green tones, maybe I might use it for a lizard man shaman with a little bit of work for some better legs, maybe do something with the hands here, and of course a different headpiece. We've got printing on the back. You can see it looks like we've got maybe a little bit of mistletoe here. Again, more pouches and other little bits of detail. Last thing I want to point out is this figure actually has what are called short legs. I had previously said that our barbarian had short legs. Those are actually called medium legs. So this is short legs. The barbarian has medium legs. Most figures have regular legs, and then there's something called long legs. I'm going to do a video that'll actually go over all the different styles of legs and the pros and cons of each, but mostly because the legs can be used to help create things like halflings or dwarves, or, you know, for me, Kender, I want to use the medium legs to create Kender. The regular legs can help create humans and elves, and I might even be able to leverage the long legs to create a minotaur. So I'm going to look for that in the future. We've got this great figure, nice smile. There we go, a little bit more of a happier smile on the other side of the face. And then, of course, our female has a little bit more of a frown. Maybe she's just come across someone defiling nature. And then when she's got somebody that she likes, give them a little happy wink. For the accessories, we've got two really cool ones. One is this brick-built staff. It uses some existing leaf pieces and a little existing flower piece. We attach it to this rod that any character can carry. Looks a little big on him, I'll have to admit. There are smaller rod pieces that we could leverage if we want to do something a little bit shorter. And the last one I want to talk about is the bird. Lego has this mold and has a lot of different colors available for birds. Blue for sure, probably yellow, maybe red. I think some of them do have some coloration for the eyes. You can see there. I don't think any of them have this level of detail, meaning the eyes, the beak, and the top of the head with a little bit of printing there. Existing piece, but a much higher level of detail. I'd like to get some more of them. Next up, we have another one of the named figures, another one of the bad guys. This one is Strahd von Zarovich, the ruler of Barovia in the Ravenloft setting. We all know him, at least we should all know him, and we should all fear him. He obviously put on his angry face with fangs showing. He does have a more subdued face, maybe when he first meets the party before things get bad. When things do get bad, clearly he is going to be ready to take them out. The printing on here is wonderful. We've got a lot of detail here. It looks to me very much like a Lego version of the cover of Curse of Strahd. This extends all the way down to the beginning of the leg pieces, which break into the dual mold of light brown and dark brown for the boots. We've got printing on the arms. We've got more printing on the back. So if you don't want to use the blue cape, we've got the semblance of a blue cape already there, and that furred collar probably denotes some level of rank. You can see that fur collar is here. It's here on the shoulder and comes back here on the front of him. So builds the whole detail all around. This arm has some other printing as well. Shows that we've got a nicely detailed character. I don't know how I feel about him having such long hair. I think of him more in the traditional first edition or really the second edition, where he looks a little bit more like Frank Langella from the Dracula movie. The hair piece itself is wonderful, and I'll definitely be able to use that either for him or for other figures. A few accessories. One is just a simple goblet, traditional Lego piece that's been around for, I don't know, maybe 30 years, if not longer. I kind of wished it had actually been filled. Lego has done a few pieces that have a little bit of quote-unquote liquid filled inside butterbeer mugs for the Harry Potter line. I think it would have been nice to have that in here. But considering all the accessories we're getting, I'm not complaining too much, because we're getting a sword, nice big long sword. I think this may be new, and if so, then I definitely want to have another 6 of these. I love the little groove in the sword. I love the detail of the handle. And we've got a plague rat. Lego has a number of rat figures. Scabbers from Harry Potter, of course, and then just some regular rats. I don't know that any of them have this level of detail. And again, it is the printing on the eyes that calls out as something really extra level on what they've done for this figure. Love this figure. Really want the rat and the sword. Otherwise, I don't need another Strahd. Last thing I will mention is that Lego has in the past done a bunch of different vampire figures. Most of them look more traditional vampire, but there are faces that have fangs exposed like this with another different face on the other side. So if you want to create a vampire rival, you could easily make another vampire figure. Hey folks, are you enjoying this video? Do you like this channel? Consider hitting the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can find out when new content is available. Also, it helps feed the algorithm so other people can find this great content. And now, back to the show. Next up is a named figure. It's a figure who I know who she is, but I don't know really much about her. This is the figure known as the Lady of Pain. She is the ruler of Sigil in the Planescape setting. I know very little about Planescape. I've never actually played it or read any of the details. So all I know is that she has this elaborate headpiece. There is some question as to what the Lady of Pain actually is. And unfortunately, this minifigure gives us no clue, because when we take off her mask, all we see is a blank headpiece. We could swap that out with some other headpiece from one of the other figures. If we want to make her undead, or if we want to make her just a happy person, we could easily do that. That would be your own personal Planescape lore. She has this great cape which extends well beyond the length of her body, because she, I guess, clearly floats most of the time. And then she carries this little box. It's got a symbol on the top. I do not know what this is. Again, my knowledge of Planescape and her is woefully underrepresented. But I will say, great detail on the torso as well as on the bottom robe. That does extend to the back. What I really like here is that the torso flows seamlessly into the bottom part of the leg with that same pattern. That makes for a nice, consistent look. No arm printing, no side printing, that's okay. The headpiece really, I think, is the selling point for this figure. It is a soft rubber, so while it looks kind of stabby and pokey, it will not do that. It will bend to your pressure. Nice little piece here, 2x2 round brick to give her the illusion of floating. And this is Our Lady of Pain. Okay, we have here what is quickly becoming my favorite figure of the entire collection. This is the Dragonborn Paladin, and he has a number of accessories that I want to go over, but I really want to show him first in the stripped down version, without his armor, weapons, and so forth. What we have here, we've got a gold headpiece that I believe has been used before in gold. It's been used in a couple other colors. Green was in the Red Dragon's Tail D&D set, and red was used in another theme called Video. What I really like, if you don't know about the headpiece, is that the horns in the back actually are separate pieces. So you can actually put a different color horn back here if you want to. And that got me thinking about, well, what if you have a dragonborn warlock and part of his pack is that now he has a blackened horn. They make this horn piece in many colors: white, black, red, green, probably blue. What if there's a different colored horn to represent the pack that he's made? So you've got that ability. Or what if he loses the horn? You can take it out completely. Nice face. The body is amazing. The torso has an undercoat that goes from the torso into the top of the legs seamlessly. We've got printing on the bottom of the legs as well as the top of the legs. We've got printing on the side of the leg. No other figure in the collection has printing on the side of the legs. We've got printing on the arms. We've got printing on the back with what looks like maybe a potion. Is he holding a potion in reserve? And again, more of the arm printing. Looks great. Love everything about this figure for so many other figures that I might want to use. This would make a great base for a Knight of Solamnia from Dragonlance. Just swap in a fresh head, get a cover for the headpiece, or just use long hair since they're very known for their long hair and mustache. Do that for a Knight of Solamnia and get that figure going. What we can do is put on this great big, what I would call a full plate piece of armor. This is unique. Lego has other pieces that are just the torso part of this armor, but without pauldrons. You could call that half plate, and you can easily call this full plate. We even have some level of printing on the front of it. You can see the scalloped printing on the front of that. It does hinder his hands a little bit, but for posability, it's still, we can get a lot that we need out of it from what we have here. Now, he has his shield. Clearly, he is a paladin of Bahamut, white dragon symbol. The last part is the weapon. This is a wonderful mace. It's got a pearlescent top piece here for slamming down on his enemies. So this could be considered a magical weapon if you wanted to use it as such. This is a new piece, and I cannot wait to see Lego make more of this piece in other colors, what I would call bland colors like black and gray, so I can make this as just regular weapons and not something as fancy as it looks right here. In this case, I love it, especially for the paladin, to have him with a nice magical mace with gold trim. Blue ties into the blue here, so maybe this is a weapon divinely inspired by Bahamut, otherwise known as Paladine in Dragonlance. That is the Dragonborn Paladin. We'll definitely get one or two more, mostly for the body part that I can reuse for Knights of Solamnia. Okay, so I said that there would be a bonus figure, a figure of my own creation, and I did kind of hint that it would be a Dragonlance figure. This is a character that I created a while ago and just recently enhanced it slightly. I wanted to have a certain person in my collection of D&D minifigs, and of course that person would have to be Lord Soth. So what I've done here is I used a regular black base since I don't have more of those stone bases. Definitely want more of those. I have given him a shining longsword. I have a couple of these in my collection. If I get the one from Lord Soth, that would make a nice longsword too. That could also be a replacement there. What I've given him here is a torch glowing with purple fire, otherwise known as cataclysmic fire. I made that out with a piece that is typically used as a torch, especially when you use this purple flame. And yes, this is the same purple flame that you now get with Tasha in her cauldron. So if you're looking to build this, you're already halfway there. For his body, just a regular black cloth. Helmet is from a Dark Knight, but again, I pieced together the helmet because it looked the closest to his bucket helmet with a little bit of a black flowing bit on top. For the head, I'd mentioned that skulls are usually white. This is one of the few black ones I found, but the red eyes. And the perfect part is when I put the helmet on, and I get up nice and close, you can see his eyes staring out through the helmet, just like many pieces of Dragonlance art. For the body, I have cape, and then of course I have this speckled piece of armor. So this is supposed to look like the burnt charred armor that he has. When I take that off, I've got a nice piece of black armored torso and legs. I believe this was all from one figure. I don't know how much the other stuff was from that same figure or cobbled together. When I put it all together, we've got Lord Soth. If you're interested in knowing how I built this, let me know in the comments. Okay, so there we have it. We have unboxed the 12 minifigures that are part of the official Dungeons & Dragons minifig collection, as well as the 13th one that I created specially. Hopefully you enjoy that. If you do, let me know in the comments. What was your favorite minifigure? Which one do you want to have multiples of? I know I've got certain ones on my list that I would like to have at least 2, 3, maybe more of. We'll see. If you like the custom minifig I have some more that I might show off in the future. So stick around for that. Cheers. Till next time.